In 1996, John Krakauer wrote a book of nonfiction entitled Into the Wild. It was the true story of a young man from a well-to-do family who hitchhiked his way to Alaska and walked alone into the wilderness north of Mount McKinley. The young man's name was Christopher McCandless. 4 years earlier, in 1992, Chris gave away the $25,000 that he had in his savings account. He gave it to charity. He drove out west, he abandoned his car, and then hitchhiked up the Canadian highway toward Alaska. He got a ride with a truck driver who was going in the direction of Mount McKinley, and at one point he asked to get out of the cab, and he walked into the wilderness, and he invented a new life for himself. He went with courage and noble ideals, searching for independence, living off the land, eating whatever he could hunt, or fish, or gather. 4 months later, moose hunters found his decomposing body and his diary, which served as a basis for the book, Into the Wild. An autopsy revealed he died of starvation about a month before he was found. There was no indications in his body that there was any trauma, broken bones, or that there was any wild animals that had anything to do with his death. Mark's gospel tells us that right after Jesus was baptized in the Jordan River, the Holy Spirit drove Jesus into the desert, the wilderness, into the wild. Mark writes, he remained in the desert for 40 days, tempted by Satan. He was among wild beasts, and the angels administered to him. The wilderness was the dwelling place of evil spirits and wild beasts who represented the evil that Jesus came to conquer. Why do we talk about the wilderness or such things at the beginning of Lent? Well, it's to kind of remind us as we begin this season, we kind of live in a wilderness too. A society and a world that's filled with many temptations and allurements and wild creatures in the form of drugs, human trafficking, mass murders in schools and other public places, prejudice, lies, and quick fixes to satisfy any human want or desire. All these wild beasts we encounter can end up destroying our physical and spiritual lives. The only way to overcome the wilderness in which we live is following Jesus. These are the very evils Jesus came to cure. Jesus went into the wilderness and overcame these evils by penance, fasting, and prayer. In the story about the young man who walked into the wild of Alaska, he went it alone. On his own hubris, I can do it. Jesus overcame the wilderness with the Holy Spirit, prayer, fasting, and penance. Only by following Jesus will we overcome the evils we encounter in today's society and in our own personal lives. Lent is a time when we reflect on the wilderness in our personal lives that we need to get back under control, that we need to overcome, that we need to purge. In spirit, over our 40 days, we join Jesus in the wilderness of today's world, and with him we do penance, give alms, fast, and pray. That just as he overcame evil, he will help us to conquer the evils of our modern wilderness and lead us into a new life to be found